Good day, YouTube. I was influenced to join the military, the Air Force, from my uncle. My uncle went through boot camp for the Army in 1978. When I was about 11, that's when I realized, hey, this is interesting. What is it? I don't even know what it is. 18 years later, 1996, I went through Air Force enlisted basic training. I had a conversation recently with some brand new airmen to the base where I'm assigned. They just got here from their technical training. Prior to that, they were at basic training. So they went through their basic training in 2017, 21 years later than me. We compared notes. I realized that some things never change and some things do change. And today's topic is freedom that we lose when we are in basic training. That is something that doesn't change. You lose your freedom. So you're going from your life where you walk around whenever you want, go get something to eat. You're going into a controlled environment. When I got to basic training, my initial thought was, what did I get myself into? But I can tell you that I adjusted quickly. I was 24 years old, and I said, you know what? I don't know any of these people here, any of these guys, but we're going to get through this, and we did. That was a good thing. So when I say that we lose our freedom, here are some examples of what it's like to go through basic training. Community showers. That means you're going to go in for like 20 seconds, 30 seconds, take a shower with people around you, and everything is open. I wasn't used to that. I didn't like that, but it's part of the process, so you adapt quickly, or you should adapt quickly, where you go in, you take your shower, you scrub, you're out. Then you go shave. That privacy is gone immediately. The only privacy that you may have is when you are in the latrine. Well, when I went through basic training, I didn't know what a latrine was. What's a latrine? I kept hearing that, the MTIs, military training instructors, talking about the latrine. That is the restroom. So the only time you have privacy is when you are in the restroom, or when you're writing a letter in your thought, or reading a letter from a loved one or a family member or a friend. Your schedule is completely, from beginning to end, from dark 30 to the end of the night, 9 p.m., is completely full. So you don't have time. That schedule is completely, it's on the agenda for the entire time that you're there. With a little bit of flexibility, you're going to do everything with a team as well. So that privacy, that doing your own thing, going for a walk, like I said a moment ago, is gone. Your schedule is completely booked, and you're doing that with your team. When I walked into the bays, or the dorms as they're called, they're dorms, but they're called bays inside, I noticed bed after bed after bed after bed, and at the end there were some bunk beds. Now I was like, wow, this is going to be a long, at the time, 6.5 weeks. Now it's approximately 8 weeks. That's something that's changed. So you're going to sleep right next to your teammates, lined up, 2 rows, and it's just no privacy, like I said. You're going to learn, you're going to eat, you're going to march, you're going to do physical fitness all together, whether you want to or not. The only exception is, let's say you get sick, then you go to the clinic to be seen. Let's talk about the food. The food at basic training I thought was good, but the only thing is you have, I think it's 8 minutes. It's been a long time to eat. And you all sit down at the same time, 4 of you per table. You go down, you start to eat. You have to have your water and your fluids. It's like 3 or 2 or something like that you have to drink with your meal. It's kind of like chew now, taste later, if there's taste. And you have to eat what they have. So you can't be picky and say, hey, you know what, do you have grilled cheese? No, this is what we have, this is what you're going to eat. And food is not allowed in the dorm. So you better eat there, because that is your 3 times per day that you get to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. After a while, you adapt. And you're like, yep, it's time to eat. Nobody talks. Nobody wants to talk. People want to eat. Uniform. You have to wear the uniform every single day, even on weekends. That's part of the process. Whether it's your PT uniform, your air battle uniform, ABU. Towards the end, towards closer you get to graduation, your blues, if you're lucky. So you are in uniform every single day. You are doing exercise every single day, whether you want to or not, whether you're a morning person or not. Cell phone is gone immediately. Well, when I went through, we didn't have, there were cell phones, but most of us didn't have cell phones. Now, what I hear from these young airmen that I talked to recently is that you get to call home and say, I made it, here's my address, talk to you when I talk to you. That cell phone, that freedom of having that cell phone, the internet on your phone, checking up statuses, writing posts, checking up on sports or whatever hobby it is that you like to do is gone. So basically think of it like this. Basic military training for the Air Force is a pause on your life. A pause from your friends, your family, your loved ones. Many people ask me often two questions. The first one is, how is it that you did it without communicating with your family or seeing your family? Well, that's part of the mindset and the lifestyle, is that sometimes you're going to go without talking to your loved ones because of the job, or because you're deployed, or because you're in basic training, or whatever that is. That's just the way it goes. Second question, I'll talk about in just one moment, but if you are familiar with my friend Wild Blue Yonder, he's at the Air Force Academy, and he went through cadet basic training, CBT, for 3 weeks, even a little bit longer. He didn't have his phone, from what I hear, and it's one of those things that you don't have your phone, and that's what we're used to, especially in 2017. Second question is this. I don't have the confidence of making it through basic training, or the confidence in myself. That's a question that people ask often, or provide input. But here's the best way to look at it is, you're going there with 50 or so strangers. You don't know any of them. You're from different places. You don't know how to march in most cases. You don't know a lot about the Air Force, but by the time you graduate, because you will graduate, most do, you know everybody's name, you know how to march, you know about the Air Force, that confidence is going to go high. Off the topic, because that has nothing to do with the loss of the freedom that we have. Basic military training is, for the most part, a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Most people are going to experience something like that just once in their life. If you commission down the road, regardless of what source, OTS, Air Force Academy, or ROTC, you are going to experience something similar, but more mental. That's how field training was for me. When I went through Air Force ROTC field training, it was very mental, in the sense that you have a lot of leadership, whether you want that or not. That's part of the process. I've never been in prison, and I don't imagine BMT to be like a prison environment. It is a controlled environment, but you have to ask yourself, why did I sign up for this? And the answer for me, when I went through basic military training, and when I went through Air Force field training for ROTC, was, this is what I wanted to do. I wanted this challenge, and I'm being challenged, and I'm going to succeed, and I succeeded, and all the benefits. What is the price of going through that type of environment? Whether it's basic military training, field training, OTS, Air Force Academy, the price is that you will lose a lot of your freedom for that period of time. Let's say basic training, 8 weeks or so. But what is, the more important question is, what is the prize? And that's the thing. The good news is it's more than just one, it's prizes. I have some notes here. Serving our great country, training, benefits, stories to share. I started off by saying my uncle had joined the Army in 1978, and that's what I remember as an 11-year-old boy. A few years later, all the stories he had from when he was stationed in Germany, in Texas, in boot camp. Teammates, camaraderie, responsibility. At the end of basic military training, most people are in great physical fitness. Some of those who smoke haven't smoked for 8 weeks. And the challenge is, you didn't smoke for 8 weeks, because you lost that freedom. So now it's up to you. What are you going to do? Are you going to start smoking again or not? Just the question. 1978, my uncle. 1996, myself. 2017, I spoke to about 8 young airmen, like I said, who graduated this year, 2017. Great stories, compared notes. Some things that have changed are the dorms. I've been to the new dorms just to see them, and they're really nice compared to the old dorms. The uniform from when I went through was BDU, now it's ABU, and it's part of the process. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience for most. You can't go back, in most cases, to that environment unless you're an MTI, which is a great opportunity. And I'm sure they have a lot of stories. I made a video with a friend of mine, Joe, who's retired now, TI Joe, a few years ago. And he has so many stories that every time I see him, I don't mind listening to those same stories again with all the trainees. Hope you've enjoyed it. Have confidence in yourself. Share your stories, your notes, down below in the comment section. Take care.